What is the petrodollar? You may have heard this in the news recently, but what is it exactly? We'll first need to go back to the end of World War II, when the US was in perfect condition to negotiate a new currency system. The Bretton Woods system was created to use the US dollars as a global currency. US citizens had to use dollars both to pay their taxes and because it was the law. But what about other countries? Why would they use US dollars? The US promised that it would exchange dollars for gold whenever other countries wanted to. So long as the US had enough gold to exchange for dollars, this wasn't a problem. But when the US economy started to slow down with huge deficits and growing inflation, as well as a growing trade deficit, other countries started to trade more dollars for gold because they didn't quite trust the US government. They would rather hold gold in their banks than dollars. Because the US gold started to rapidly deplete, Nixon ended the gold standard. No longer could the other countries exchange dollars for gold. Now, the US had a problem. Why would other countries hold on to US dollars when they could no longer trade them for gold? In the early 70s, the US and Saudi Arabia made an agreement. Saudi Arabia would only sell oil for dollars if the US would use their world-class military to protect the House of Saud, the royal family that controls Saudi Arabia. This meant that other countries had to keep dollars in order to buy oil. So, here we are 40 years later, and in that time the US government has printed a fuck ton of dollars, most of which ended up in the other countries' central banks. Remember, the only reason other countries are keeping these dollars is because they need them to buy oil. This, essentially, is a petrodollar system. But what happens if it ends? If countries can buy oil without dollars, all the dollars and the dollar-denominated assets like treasury bills will come flooding back to the United States. This will create massive inflation, a surge in interest rates, and a collapse of the US government and the economy. As long as the Saudis keep accepting dollars for oil, this won't happen. But as soon as Saudi Arabia stops taking dollars for oil and starts accepting anything else like gold or euros or SDRs, a massive collapse is just around the corner.